She didn't flinch when they shoved her against the rusted shipping container. She didn't beg, didn't tremble, didn't bargain. She simply stared at the men circling her, 7 of them, all twice her size, as if she were measuring the distance between their heartbeats. And then she whispered something that made every one of them laugh at first, and freeze a second later. "I warned you. You struck me first. Now you won't walk away." They didn't know her name. They didn't know her past. But they were about to learn why challenging a Navy SEAL is a fatal mistake. Mara Langley never blended into a crowd, not because she sought attention, but because she carried herself with the silent confidence of someone who had already survived the worst life could offer. Former Navy SEAL, decorated twice, discharged after an explosion stole most of her hearing in one ear. She moved back to her hometown, hoping for peace. Hoping for something normal. But normal didn't last long. Every evening, she volunteered at a community center in a battered neighborhood, the kind of place abandoned by everyone except the people who couldn't afford to leave. She trained kids in self-defense, taught them discipline, structure, and how to stand up for themselves without falling into violence. It wasn't just training, it was therapy. For them. For her. One of those kids was Ava, a wiry 14-year-old with bruises she tried to hide beneath sweaters and silence. Mara saw through them instantly. She had learned to read pain the way others read street signs. Ava never said who hurt her, but Mara knew something was wrong. The girl clung to her like she was the first safe person she had ever met. One night, Ava didn't show up. First hour, Mara waited. Second hour, she paced. By the third hour, she grabbed her jacket and followed the trail she feared the most. She found Ava's schoolbag tossed near a construction site on the edge of town, surrounded by deep mud and silence broken only by distant engines. Mara's pulse sharpened. She knew this kind of place. She knew the smell, the emptiness, the dark corners where people hid the things they wished others would forget. Then she saw them. 7 men, looming in the half-built skeleton of an unfinished warehouse. And in the middle of them Ava, knees shaking, hands bound. The leader was a man whose face was all angles and scars, the kind created by fists, blades, and a lifetime of bad decisions. He turned as Mara approached, smirking. "You lost, sweetheart," he taunted. Mara didn't answer. She stepped forward, every muscle relaxed, every breath controlled. Another man shoved her shoulder, hard. "Didn't you hear him? You need directions?" A normal woman might have stepped back. Cried. Pleaded. Mara didn't. She looked at the man dead in the eyes. "You just made a mistake." He laughed. They all did. Until she said the words that made the laughter die. "I'm a Navy SEAL." The leader spat, amused. "Lady, there's 7 of us." Mara tilted her head. "And only one of me. You should have brought more." She wasn't trying to intimidate them. She was stating a fact. And facts, they would soon discover, don't lie. The moment they realized who she was. They charged her all at once, big, heavy, reckless. Mara felt the world slow, the way it always did when fear tried to take over. It didn't succeed. It never had. She didn't fight with rage. She fought with precision. A sidestep. A wrist grab. A twist. The first attacker's shoulder popped out of its socket before he even hit the ground. 2 more lunged at her, swinging pipes. Mara ducked under one, kicked the other behind the knee, and used his momentum to flip him into the dirt. She moved like water, fluid, adaptive, unstoppable. Ava watched, eyes wide, hope sparking where terror had been. But the leader wasn't impressed. He pulled a knife from his belt and stepped toward Ava. "Stop, or the kid gets it." Mara froze, not out of fear, but calculation. Her gaze locked onto Ava's trembling hands. Her breathing slowed. Her mind sharpened into something cold and unbreakable. She stepped forward, hands slightly raised. "Let her go. She's just a child." The leader barked a laugh. "She owes us money. And you just cost us business." Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. Take me instead. The men glanced at each other, surprised. This wasn't weakness, it was strategy, though they didn't know it yet. The leader grinned. Fine. We'll take both. And that was his final mistake. Because in that moment, Mara moved, not toward him, but toward the rusted chain hanging above the scaffolding. With one leap, she grabbed it, swung forward, and kicked him square in the jaw. He stumbled backward, stunned, dropping the knife. She landed between him and Ava, shielding the girl with her body. The remaining men hesitated. She stared them down, chest heaving, eyes blazing with a fury they couldn't comprehend. You want to hurt her, she said. You'll have to go through me. And I promise you, you won't survive that. Something shifted then, an understanding, raw and immediate. They weren't facing a woman. They were facing a soldier forged in fire and loss. And they were losing. One by one, they attacked. One by one, they fell. When the last man hit the ground, Mara knelt beside Ava, untied her wrists, and wrapped her in her arms. The girl sobbed into her shoulder. You came for me, Ava whispered. Mara held her tighter. Always. No one touches what I protect. As sirens approached in the distance, someone must have called the police. Mara finally let out the breath she'd been holding. She looked at the unconscious men scattered across the site. They'd struck her first. And they learned why they should never challenge a Navy SEAL.